Hey?
Hey.
So I thought we'd start our time together today with a visualization. We could use our imagination to create something in our minds, to be something that I think will put us in the mood to talk about what I want to talk about today, will put us in the right frame of mind to accept what life is giving us right now, because there's a gift all around us when you walk outside. It's everywhere. It's screaming at you to pay attention. So let's start with that. Just close your eyes for a moment, and I'll walk you through it. So let's imagine for just a moment that we are, each of us, a mighty oak tree. And you can feel it. You can feel the trunk as your body. You're strong, vibrant, tough, worn through time, but so thankful for every groove in your trunk. And just as you're strong, you're also rooted where you are, where your feet touch the ground. You can feel your roots grow deep. You can feel it in your toes. You can feel these roots shoot down into the ground as if they're reaching for something. They're reaching down into the depths of being. They're placing you and putting you right here where you are, where you don't have to worry, because you're always rooted right here deep in the ground. You can feel it, can't you, in your toes as you go deep. Oh. But just as you are strong in your trunk, just as you are rooted in your feet as they grow deep, you're also reaching out for something. Perhaps you can feel it in the top of your head. Perhaps you can feel it in your fingertips. You are reaching out into the unknown, into the mystery, out into the atmosphere, reaching higher and higher, stretching. And you're welcome to stretch if you want. You don't have to stay still. You can stretch out and feel your fingers, these branches, reach out into the atmosphere. So here you are this mighty oak. You have these roots that grow deep. You have these fingers that reach out. And now it is springtime. And on the tips of your fingers, maybe on the top of your head, you can feel these little buds start to shoot out. You can feel these leaves start to grow. And as soon as you see them, it's like seeing your child for the first time. You're so enamored with it. You're so fascinated by this that came from you, that extends from your being. These leaves, these beautiful, perfect leaves that are a part of me. And it's summertime. And they're getting bigger, and they're reaching their full brilliance. They're mighty greens. And they move in the breeze, and they catch the sunlight and transform it in something I'm sure they call photosynthesis. And the rain comes, and the leaves collect the rain, and they bring the rain into your trunk and down deep into the roots. And here you are in full bloom, in full blossom. Oh, isn't life extraordinary? And then you feel the chill come as the days start to change. As the days grow darker and slightly cooler, and these leaves also begin to change. Where they were once vibrant and green, they are now beginning to become yellow, orange, red. And you can feel it in your fingertips, can't you? You can feel something changing. You can almost sense the life begin to fade from these, your beautiful leaves. And without complaint, hesitation, without even an inkling of grasping, one by one, you let these leaves go. And you can feel every single one of them. You can feel every single one of your beautiful leaves as you let them go and they fall inevitably to the ground. And you're bare again, still strong in your trunk, still rooted deep within the ground, still reaching to the unknown, and comfortable, peaceful, joyous, knowing that once again these leaves will come again. Once again you will sprout new life. And there's absolutely nothing to worry about. You can open your eyes now if you like. You don't have to. You can keep them closed. So how did that feel?
Nice.
Nice, right? Not complicated at all. No. No remorse. If you look around you at this time of year, in fall, my favorite time of year, the leaves on the trees themselves, nature is trying to teach us a lesson. And it's screaming at us to pay attention. What these leaves, what these trees are telling us is that everything in life changes. That the absolute quintessential aspect of existence is change. In fact, it's so fundamental that I had a Buddhist teacher once who told me that he didn't have an accent, I was going to do a funny accent, but he didn't have an accent. Let's pretend he had an accent. He said, Anbin, if I could explain Buddhism in one word, it would be impermanence. The Buddha knew that impermanence was so important to existence that he could sum up his entire philosophy by saying, life changes. And if you try too hard to grip, suffering is going to be inevitable. So the trees are telling us that impermanence is the way of life. In fact, life is cyclical. It's constantly changing. Birth, life, death, and inevitably resurrection. Constantly. And what these trees are asking me to do, and I hope what they're asking you to do, is to participate in these changes. To grasp when it's time to grasp, but to let go when it's time to let go. Because every thought, every emotion, every idea, every person, every animal, every tree, every star, and the universe itself will come into being, will expand, will grow, and will inevitably fade. It's the way of things. But if it is the way of things, and if I believe that, and I think we can all feel it in our beings, that things are constantly changing. Every time we see something like, oh, that's it, it changes, it shifts. If that's the way it is, then why do we have such a hard time letting go? Why do we grasp everything? Have a flower now. Don't die, flowers die. Stay the way you are. Don't change. My child was born. I wish you were a baby forever. Well, that's what my wife says. I don't wish that. Be potty trained. So why is it that if this is the way of life, if we all know it in our deepest being, in ourself, that life is about change, that everything that arises will fall, why do we have such a hard time letting go? Why do we grasp and hold on to everything? To explain this, or to get into this, there's a man who lived at one point in history. I don't know the date. His name was Blaise Pascal. Y'all heard of Blaise Pascal? He was French, so I'm sure that's how he said it.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Andy. I'm Blaise Pascal. Now, Pascal was a mathematician. He was also a Christian theologian. So important that I think there's even like a unit of measurement named after him, like the Pascal. Like how many Pascals is that? And it's 4. But he's also, I don't know much about his science and his mathematicianism in this, but I know a lot about his theology. And he is known for saying one thing in particular that has become like his thing, his saying, his mantra. And that is this. Each and every human being is born with a God-shaped vacuum that they cannot fill with any material thing, only God, the Creator itself. One more time. It's very important. Each and every human being is born with a God-shaped vacuum in their being that they cannot fill with any material thing, only the Creator itself. And he went on to say the Creator through Jesus Christ, because he was a Christian theologian. Now, I don't really agree with a lot of the implications of this statement. I don't agree with how it's been used a lot in different churches, because I don't accept that human beings were born deficient. I don't accept that we were born needing anything. I don't accept we were born without anything. I don't accept for a second that we were born perfect and then fell because of some cosmic error, that we messed up one day and now we're spending the rest of our lives trying to pay someone back. Maybe if I write you a check, God, you'll forgive me. I don't believe in that. However, what I like about the statement, what I like about there is a God-shaped vacuum that we're constantly trying to material things and only God can fill it. What I like about that statement is it has a sentiment to it. It has a feeling to it that I think explains a lot of how we feel so much of the time. Because I feel that human beings have this existential angst that we're constantly trying to fill ourselves up. It's like we were cars. I'm not going to do another visualization, although it'd be fun. Imagine you're a BMW. We're cars on the road of life, and everything we keep coming up to these gas stations. Up, fill me up. Up, fill me up. Up, fill me up. Honey, fill me up. Dear, fill me up. Job, fill me up. Stuff. Ooh, I got a new phone. Fill me up, phone. Oh, I got a raise. Gonna get some more money. Fill me up, money. We're constantly trying to fill ourselves with things. In fact, you could say that what we want as human beings more than anything is fulfillment. We want to be filled up. We want to know that our life has some kind of meaning. It has some kind of purpose. We want to be satisfied. And a lot of people are going to tell you what's going to do it. All you got to do is turn the TV on or open up the Facebook. The kids like the Facebook, and the social media. And all over it, plastered on every page, what they're saying is, this will fill you up. No, this will fill you up. No, this will fill you up. No, buy this, order this, get this. Our society, American society, says that all you have to do is get the right job, make the right amount of money, buy the right house, own the right car, marry the right person, have the right kids, have 2.5 dogs, have all that, and then you'll be satisfied. Then you'll finally be filled up. Even self-help books, they'll tell you that healthy living. Fill yourself up with health and good food and find things and people that make you happy. Surround yourself with happiness and maybe someday you'll be satisfied. Like you'll wake up one morning and you'll be like, that's it! I got enough! No more gas stations for me. However, there was a man, a very brilliant man, by the name of Mick Jagger, who said, nay, sang, I can't get no satisfaction, though I try, and I try, and I try, and I try, I can't get no satisfaction. No. And that, I think, describes it. Because no matter how much stuff we get, like let's say, new promotion, new job, people love me, people adore me, no satisfaction. New car, no satisfaction. New people in my life that make me happy, no satisfaction. Somehow we just can't get no satisfaction. It doesn't seem to work. Nothing seems to fill us up. Because one day we wake up and say, what was it all for? I talked to my father-in-law one time. Oh, this is a good conversation. Very successful. Worked in the banking business his whole life. Climbed the ropes, climbed the ladders. Very successful. Good money, good home. Did it to provide for his family. Honorable. Good. But then he said to me, if I could go back, I'd just spend more time with my children. You can't get no satisfaction. So why is it? I find there are two reasons why we can't seem to get no satisfaction. There are two reasons why we can't seem to fill ourselves up. Why we put the thing in the tank, press the button, drive down the road, and inevitably, empty again. Well, the first reason is something we've already talked about. It's something the trees are trying to tell you. They're trying to tell you that nothing out here is stable. It can't be stable because it has to move to create. That everything out here is impermanent. Nothing's going to last. Everything changes. Your relationships change. Your job changes. Your children grow up. Everything changes. Your health changes. All this is subject to change. And what you get from it, what you get, the pleasure that arises within you from getting that promotion, that pleasure that arises, and I get it too. It's good. Pleasure's good. I don't want to make you think that pleasure's not a good thing. I like pleasure. That pleasure that arises when you buy a new toy or get that new car. It is inevitably going to fall and fade. It has to. Happiness is different from pleasure. Happiness is a way we look at the world. But did you know your happiness, as long as it's dependent on this, is also subject to change? In fact, we have a word for it. The word that describes how we feel, how our mental life changes when something we care about is taken away from us. It's called grieving. And it's essential to living your life. You have to reorient yourself around the space that is no longer there. Your happiness has to constantly shift and change, and you have to go through periods of sadness and grieving and happiness and pleasure and peace. You need all of this. Everything is subject to change. Nothing lasts. So as long as you're grasping out here, you're grasping at things that are moving. It's like you're trying to hold a cat. just be still for a moment. Nothing changes. So as long as you are trying to fill yourself up with this stuff, you're not going to be satisfied. You can't get no satisfaction. But the second reason is far more important, and I think essential to what you're doing here every week and what we're doing here as spiritual beings and what religions are doing all over the world and what people are doing all over the world. The second reason we can't get no satisfaction, I'm going to make you wait. See, that's satisfying. But I'm going to be thirsty in like 10 minutes. My pleasure that I derive from you is subject to change. It's okay. It's inevitable. The second reason, and the most important reason, the essential reason that we can't seem to fill ourselves up, the reason we can't seem to get enough, the reason our tanks can't seem to get full, is that they're already full. You're throwing water in a well that's pouring over. You are already filled up. You're just looking in the wrong direction. Your life is about this. It's about getting and gaining and pulling in, where the spiritual life teaches you that it should be about this. You're already full. You're already filled. You weren't born deficient. We already talked about that. You were born with everything you need, deep within the center, the silence, the stillness of your very being. That place that is not subject to change, that place where everything arises from. They have the sacred Om. Y'all heard the sacred Om? It's actually A-U-M-O. You know where the power of the Om comes from? Om. That. Not the Om. The space between the Oms. You say Om so you can come back to the silence from which the Om arises. The Om is creation. The Om is what creates. The Om is what brings all this about. You come from the silence that it is created from. And that space is abundantly full and pouring out peace, love, and joy. Which is what we really want. We're just looking in the wrong places. Peace, love, and joy are inherent to your being. Peace, love, and joy is the natural response. It's the natural expression of being, consciousness, and bliss. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Being, consciousness, and bliss. So all we have to do to get some satisfaction is change the direction of our lives, to reorient ourselves, and instead of grasping and pulling in, start expressing and giving out. You give peace. You don't get peace. It's not going to come from anywhere. You give it to your life. You don't get joy. You express joy. A car doesn't give you joy. A car gives you pleasure. A relationship gives you pleasure. They orient you toward a happy frame of being, which is very important. But you don't get joy. You express joy. You give joy. And most importantly, give me five. We didn't shake hands before, so most importantly, you don't get love. You don't go into a relationship saying, honey, I promise for the rest of my life to get as much love as I can from you. I will wake up every morning and hope that you give me what I need. You, dear, are the gas station of my life. I do. No, you don't get love. You give love. You give love because you don't need it. You already have it. You can't gain something that you're overflowing with. You go with well, yeah. You have this well in the center of your being and you're trying to dump water and it was pouring out. So all you have to do is begin to express it. Have y'all seen the movie Frozen? No?
Yeah. I never seen the movie Frozen. No, why? No, why? Because I had to have passion.
That's what it does. I'm going to buy you a copy of Frozen with captions.
Closed caption.
I'm going to call Walt. So, Walt, I know you're dead. This is weird. But you need to make Frozen. Well, Frozen's about these sisters. One of them's name is Elsa. Elsa has magical abilities. She can make things freeze. But she's trapped. She's holding on. She's afraid. She has this fear. Because we don't just hold on to physical things. We hold on to emotions. And she's holding on to fear. The entire movie, she's holding on to this fear of being who she is. And even when she discovers who she is and she lets it go, she's still holding on to her control over others. She's holding on to the fact that she might hurt somebody, so she's holding it in. And the interesting thing is, the brilliance of this movie is the more she holds it in, the more the storm around her rages and gets colder and darker. But you know how she figures it out in the end? How she fixes everything? She gives it love. She says, love is the answer. So instead of pulling in, she starts to give out. We have a lot of things in our lives that we hold on to, that we cling to. And we'll talk about this more in the workshop later, but we have a lot of things in our lives that we're afraid to let go of. Because we think somehow they're filling us up. Even our resentment, even our anger. You know, we feel like it's somehow filling us up. But all we have to do to let it go, all we have to do to move beyond death into resurrection is to give to it. Stop trying to grasp it and say, this, you're not going to fill me up. I'm not getting satisfaction from you. I am giving to you, to that relationship, to that job, to that child, to your life. You give it love. You express love. You express joy. And then your life becomes a manifestation of it. In every relationship, every job, and every stormy, rainy day. And death itself becomes an expression of peace, joy, and love. You can't transform your life from out here. Life flows from here out. You give your life these things and watch as it transforms and it becomes an expression of what you are all.